Hello, today we will be discussing and presenting how to make authentic Mexican rice in less than 20 minutes. There are different ways that you can make Mexican rice. Each way has its own unique process, but today I'm going to show you a very simple, fail-proof process. The ingredients for this particular rice is going to be you can use white rice. For this project, I'm going to be doing Riceland extra long grain rice. For the seasoning, we use Knorr. It's called the tomato bouillon with chicken flavoring. There are other flavorings. I like the tomato base. I like my rice red and not a different color, yellow. And for every 1 cup of rice, it's going to be 4 cups of water. And if you've never done rice, you would need to have a Teflon medium saucepan. You can use a cast iron, you can use a silver pan, but if you use those, more than likely you'll get some sticking. I like to use Teflon because it browns the rice really nice and it doesn't allow the rice to stick to the pan. So in step one, we're going to ask that you preheat your saucepan and add about approximately 2 tablespoons of oil. We really never measure the oil, but I'm assuming that it's going to be about 2 tablespoons. The Teflon pan, you will need a lid on top of your Teflon pan. Step two, measure out 1 cup of rice. And again, I'm using Riceland. It's an extra long grain white rice. People like to use different rices, but we buy Riceland just because it's a little cheaper, less expensive. So you measure out 1 cup of rice would feed approximately 4 adults. If you want leftovers, you can add it. You can jump up to a half a cup or even cook 2 cups of rice. But then, of course, you will need to either double your water or just make sure that your measurements are same. So if you do 2 cups of rice, it's going to be 8 cups of water. If you do 1.5 cups, it'll be 4, 5, 6 cups of water. So measure out your cup of rice. Step three is browning the rice. A lot of people say, well, how long do I brown the rice? Depending on if you're cooking on gas or if you're cooking on an electric burner, you can brown the rice. I put two different extremes. Some people like their rice really dark and they like it brown, very dark. I prefer that some of my rice stay a little white with slightly browned. So when you start to brown the rice, you're doing this on high heat, but making sure that that you move the rice around with a wooden spoon or a ladle so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. Step four, you add the 4 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. This is done once you brown the rice. Once you brown your rice, you're gonna go ahead and add the 4 cups of water. There's no particular way that is one better than the other, but once you get to this point, your rice is brown. You can pour in the 4 cups. Because I only use one measuring cup, a 1 cup measuring cup, I have to fill it up 4 cups. Now people say, is it cold water or hot water? It doesn't matter, it's all gonna boil. So put the 4 cups of water in the rice, bring it to a boil. At the same time, you'll measure 2 tablespoons of Knorr con tomate, which is a tomato base again, 2 tablespoons. Now I like the seasoning, so I really don't make sure it's completely flat. I just grab the 2 spoons, put it in the rice, stir it, and then we add approximately 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. And of course, that's to your liking. Do you need it? No. I know that my family's always saying, why do you add tomato sauce? It's already tomatoey. Well, I like it, so I add more of it. So that's kind of an authentic thing, is to add tomato sauce into your rice. Step six, once you bring your rice to a boil, you'll reduce the heat. You'll notice that I included medium. Now every stovetop is different. If you're using gas, you might need to lower it a little bit more because the flames will be a little bit more centralized. On our stove, it's medium heat, and I use my microwave timer to time it for 20 minutes. And at that time, you'll go ahead and cover your rice for 20 minutes. Step 7 is to check the rice. Be careful when you pull the lid off the rice. You always want to point the lid away from you because the steam will burn your hand. Open the lid away from you when you open the rice. And I say make sure you check it around the 15-minute, 16-minute mark. What you're checking for is to see the water level. If your stove was too hot, then you'll notice that your rice might be already dried out. But if you put a spoon in there and you move the rice a little bit, you'll notice that there might be a little bit of water in there. If there is, that's great. If you like your rice a little watery, then you can stop it there and just let it set for about 5-10 minutes, or you can just leave it there and take it off the stove. Um, for the most part, you can let it finish cooking by just putting the lid back on and letting it cook for the additional 5 minutes, giving it the full 20 minutes. Once it's all done, step 8 is serve the rice. Um, People say, well, how can I spice it up? If you want to, change it up, you can add peas or carrots, or chop up some pieces of carrots or corn and throw it in there during the time it's boiling. We use frozen peas and carrots and corn, and we just add that in there just to add color. I've added in red pepper and green pepper just to make it look really festive and add a little flair, and then you can top it or garnish it with cilantro with a squeeze of lime right over the rice would make it come out really good. But that's it. That's as easy as it is. I hope you enjoyed these few steps on how to make authentic Mexican rice.